Welcome to Our Weird World, where each week we gather around the bonfire to uncover the world's most fascinating legends and mysteries. Tonight, we bring you the story of the Tomte. So sit back, relax, and let the flames of our virtual campfire help illuminate these unseen helpers. Nestled between towering pines and surrounded by a thick rolling mist, the small village of Skogsbyn sat at the edge of an ancient forest. The villagers often whispered of the forest's many secrets, but none were as deeply woven into their lives as the legend of the Tomte. The Tomte, they said, was not merely a creature of myth, but a diligent caretaker of farms and families. His presence was subtle, barely noticeable to those who didn't know what to look for. A mysterious patch of frost shaped like footprints, a missing tool that reappeared in the exact spot it was most needed, or the inexplicable health of a struggling crop were all signs of his handiwork. For centuries, the people of Skogsbyn honored this unseen helper. At the stroke of midnight on Yule Eve, a steaming bowl of porridge with a generous dollop of butter would be placed in the barn. It was a simple offering, yet one laden with gratitude and respect for the Tomte's tireless work. Among the villagers was Lars, a farmer whose family had lived in Skogsbyn for generations. Lars prided himself on his hard work and pragmatic nature. The farm thrived under his care, and though life was far from easy, Lars attributed the success solely to his labor. His wife, Ellen, was the keeper of the family's traditions. A kind-hearted woman with a gentle wisdom, she believed deeply in the old ways. For Ellen, honoring the Tomte was as essential as tending to the fields or feeding the livestock. Superstition and nonsense, Lars would grumble every Yule as Ellen prepared the offering. If there's a guardian of this farm, it's me. Ellen would simply smile, her soft eyes reflecting an understanding that Lars refused to see. Perhaps, she would reply, but even the unseen deserve thanks. Their quiet disagreement continued for years, until one particularly brutal winter changed everything. The winter winds came early that year, carrying with them a biting cold that seeped into every corner of the farm. By Yule, the barn doors were nearly frozen shut and the livestock huddled together for warmth. Supplies were running low, and Lars was more irritable than ever. As Ellen prepared the traditional porridge, Lars slammed the door shut behind him, stomping the snow off of his boots. "This is madness," he snapped, glaring at the bowl in her hands. "We're barely scraping by, and you're wasting food on a fairy tale." "Lars," Ellen began gently, but he waved her off. "No more," he declared, taking the bowl and dumping its contents into the big trough. "The Tomte can starve for all I care." Ellen watched in silence, her heart heavy with worry. She had heard the old stories of what happened when the Tomte felt disrespected. The next morning, chaos erupted. The barn was a scene of disarray. Tools scattered, the hay bales overturned, and the animals restless. Bessie, their prized cow, refused to give milk. Her usually docile eyes were wide with fear. "It's the cold," Lars muttered, though his voice lacked conviction. But the misfortunes didn't stop there. Over the next few days, the cellar's stores of vegetables began to rot inexplicably, and a biting draft settled into the house despite their best efforts to block it. Even the fire in the hearth seemed to burn lower than usual, casting shadows that flickered and danced in unsettling shapes. Ellen said nothing, but Lars caught her glancing at the barn more often, her expression clouded with concern. One evening, as the winds howled outside, their youngest daughter, Annika, approached Ellen with wide, earnest eyes. "Mama," she whispered, "do you think the Tomte is angry?" Ellen knelt down to Annika's level, smoothing a stray curl from her face. "Perhaps," she admitted softly, "but the Tomte is fair. If we show him kindness, he may forgive us." That night, while her parents slept, Annika tiptoed out into the snow. Clutched in her mittened hands was a bowl of porridge she had made herself, though the butter sat slightly off-center. She carefully placed it near the barn's entrance, her breath clouding in the icy air. "Please don't be angry anymore," she whispered. As she turned to leave, she heard a faint rustling. When she looked back, she saw him, a small figure no taller than her waist, with a pointed red cap and a beard as white as snow. His eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, locking on to hers. "Child," a voice like the wind seemed to murmur, though his lips didn't move, "you remember." Annika told her parents the next morning what she had seen, but Lars dismissed it as a child's imagination. "Enough of this foolishness," he barked. That night, as the family slept, the wind grew louder, shaking the house to its foundation. A loud crash from the barn woke everyone, and Lars stormed back outside, determined to confront whatever was causing the havoc. In the moonlit snow, he saw them, tiny footprints leading from the barn to the forest, and there, standing at the tree line, was the Tomte, his red cap stark against the shadows. The creature raised a small, gnarled hand, pointing directly at Lars. Though no words were spoken, Lars felt their weight settle into his chest. The message was clear. Remember. Shamed and shaken, Lars returned to the house, his face pale and his hands trembling. He said nothing as he prepared a fresh bowl of porridge and placed it in the barn himself. The next morning, harmony was restored. The animals were calm, the tools were in their places, and the oppressive chill had lifted. Bessie's milk flowed once more, and the fire burned brightly in the hearth. From that day on, Lars became the Tomte's most devoted supporter. Each Yule, he would prepare an offering himself, ensuring it was perfect down to the smallest detail. The tale of Lars and the Tomte spread throughout Skogsbyn, becoming a story that parents told their children on long winter nights. It was a reminder of the importance of respect, gratitude, and the unseen forces that watch over us. Even today, the villagers honor the Tomte, leaving bowls of porridge with butter atop the snow. And on quiet nights, if you listen closely, you might just hear a faint shuffle of footsteps in the barn, or catch a glimpse of a red cap disappearing into the woods. For the villagers know, the Tomte, once angered, does not forget. As we leave you here, remember, the legends of our weird world are boundless. If you've enjoyed the stories, please share, like, and subscribe to our channel for more content. Your support enables us to keep these stories alive. Until next time, stay curious, and don't forget to show your thanks to the unseen helpers, lest you incur their wrath.